Greetings, warriors! My name's Pretty, and well, if you're watching this the day of posting, Happy Mother's Day! And if you're watching it in the future, or whatever, Happy Normal Day. I wanted to do this type of video for a little while, because, if you don't know already, I'm a mom. I talk about my toddler a lot, I talk about my husband a lot, but I just wanted to share my personal experience of being a mom, all of the stuff that it entails, and just celebrate being a mom with you guys. So this is obviously going to be very different from my usual kind of content. just a wee bit. It's story time with Pretty. Come grab a snack, grab a drink, get a fluffy blanket, and be ready for a very long and interesting story. So, this video will be split up into pieces, and there are some pieces that will have a trigger warning beforehand due to some of the heavily sensitive topics that I'll be talking about. But, those warnings will be stated when we get to them, and, yeah, if you want to jump around and not hear about specific parts of my journey of being a mom, you're welcome to. But this is just my experience. Everything that I'm going to be talking about is stuff that I'm willing to share with you guys. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff I don't want to talk about, but I just want to share it with you guys because I am proud to be a mom. And I want to share that pride with you guys. Hey there, Editing Pretty here. I just wanted to take a quick break from, before getting into the story of my motherhood and talk about if you are pro-life, you need to be pro-life, meaning the life of mothers, the life of children after birth, including medical care, including social services. If you are pro-life just because you don't want an abortion to happen, you need to really rethink your thoughts. The thought of the Supreme Court in the US overturning Roe v. Wade disgusts me, and it makes me fear for the future of my child depending on how they live their life. So abortion rights are human rights. Birth control is human rights. I happen to be on birth control, and I am very, very thankful for that. Please vote for the politicians that actually care about people and pro-choice. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let's get back into my motherhood story. Thank you. Get comfy, get cozy. This is gonna be a long one. So, well, any journey with motherhood typically starts with pregnancy. I got pregnant in 2019, pre-COVID years, and I was just, it's our first child. We were, excited, nervous, every type of emotion you can think of, all bundled into one. It was such a weird time. It's so hard to think about, life pre-baby anymore. Yeah, we were just filled with a lot of different emotions. Excitement, fear, panic, joy, elation, and just lots of things. And we, at the time, we were staying at a place we rented. And the people that we were renting from, they were like, hey, yeah, we can finish off your basement there, because, you got a baby coming. So that took a part during my pregnancy. But when I got pregnant, I got super worried about my health. Because, it makes sense, right? Pregnancy is a huge thing that you take upon your body. And someone recently, close to me, had an awful pregnancy. It was the worst. They were hospitalized over and over and over again, and it was scary. It was very, very scary, and I was scared that was going to happen to me. Well, those fears were totally overblown. I will be frank. My pregnancy was very abnormal in terms of it being really, really nice to me. Like, I can count on one hand how many times I had morning sickness. Some women, and pretty much anybody who's pregnant, you can count on one hand how many times you had morning sickness in a day, or in a morning, or in an hour. And I am here saying I could count on one hand how much I got morning sickness during my entire pregnancy. So, extremely abnormal. But it felt like when I was pregnant, I didn't feel pregnant. Like, obviously, belly grows, hormones and all that stuff, but it never really drastically affected my day-to-day life. I mean, obviously, I couldn't drink because, baby. I couldn't do, like, unhealthy eating habits. Like, oh my god, when I was pregnant, I ate so many salads. I just wanted so many salads. Now I can't eat most of those salads. I'll get into that in postpartum, but yeah, I didn't really feel any different. I could still do the things I wanted to do. My sleep wasn't very affected. And again, I'm saying that was extremely abnormal. Like, if you know of somebody who's going to be pregnant, please don't say, oh yeah, you're gonna be totally fine. I know this VTuber was totally fine during their pregnancy. Please no. Because sometimes a pregnancy can really affect somebody. And towards the later end, it did for me. If you don't understand pregnancy is split into 3 trimesters. First trimester is usually hell. That's when you get sick. That's when, like, your body is adjusting to the hormone changes. Second trimester is pretty relaxed. That's when you start showing cravings and all of that. And third trimester is the end, where baby just starts ballooning in size and you start preparing for the end, the outcome, the baby coming out. And so my third trimester took place in the year of our Lord and Savior 2020. Yeah, where do I start with this? So obviously the start of 2020 was hectic. There were wildfires, there was just chaos everywhere, even before the big sick. And it was a lot to take in at the time, because, I was about to bring a new life into this world, and 2020 was a year to start. And when you're pregnant, you go and see a gynecologist a lot. And I went in with my appointment with my husband, and there was one appointment that my gynecologist said that I had low amniotic fluid. If you don't know what amniotic fluid is, hi, please take a sex ed course. Thank you. It's the liquid that babies swim in, essentially. It's what they breathe, what they use to practice breathing and swimming in, and it's important. Like, if you don't have amniotic fluid, your baby can't move. Your baby can't flip over, because when babies are born, their head comes out first. Like, it's not their feet. You don't see their feet dangling. It's their head. So I was told that I had low amniotic fluid, and baby was still breech, meaning their head is facing up, like, how you stand vertically. They weren't facing the right way for birth. So my gynecologist had me do these things called non-stress tests, where they put these little sensors on your tummy and send, like, little pulses. I'm not entirely 100% sure exactly how they work, but they send little pulses to kind of stir the baby, to make sure there's movement, to make sure that they hear the heartbeat. Pretty much just like a super wellness check, but I had to do those twice a week for about half of my final trimester. And my gynecologist was frank with me. they said that I might need a C-section. And for a person who, one, is terrified of needles, or well, mostly was at that time. Now I've kind of grown over it. But who was terrified of needles, who never had a single major surgery in their entire life, I was not emotionally prepared to hear that. Thankfully, my husband was there for that appointment because, oh goodness me, if he was not there, I would have had such a hard time. And then the big sick happened. My gynecologist office didn't let any guests in, so for a good little while I had to go to these non-stress tests by myself. And as a person with anxiety, it was hard. It was very, very hard. I had to handle the thoughts all around my head being like, is baby going to be okay? Am I doing something wrong? Like, am I just a failure as being a baby for essentially? But I was doing everything in my power that I could do for my amniotic fluid. You guys know, I drink a lot of water. It's my thing. I drink water. I tell people to drink water. And it's because of that situation where I had low amniotic fluid. I drank and drank and drank and drank and drank and drank and drank. And I drank so much water hoping that it would increase my amniotic fluid. So yeah, went through the weeks of non-stress tests, and then there was one appointment that we did the non-stress test, and then the gynecologist was like, yeah, I'm gonna check out your amniotic fluid now, see if baby's moved at all, and, go from there. We checked. Got a little lower in my amniotic fluid, and baby was still breech. So my gynecologist told me and was like, we recommend a C-section, and we recommend you schedule it now so we can plan for it. This is your window of opportunity. We need the baby out at 34 weeks? Or they said it was late preterm, essentially. So right at the cusp of being preemie and right at the cusp of being on time. So they gave us dates for a week of dates, and we had to pick. Husband wasn't there for that appointment, obviously, because the big sick. And I asked, I was like, hey, can I please call my husband? I want to decide this with him. I don't want to decide this by myself because obviously it's his child too. So I called. We scheduled the date. A lot of parents can't really say that they picked their child's birthday. Yeah. At the time, I was so mixed up. I had that guilt of not being able to provide for my unborn baby because no amniotic fluid. I felt like something was wrong with me. We never really figured out why I had low amniotic fluid, but honestly, I don't care anymore. But I had that stress to handle. I had the stress of knowing I needed a major surgery done, which I've never had to deal with. I had the stress of the big sick. And before the big sick ever happened, we were planning for my parents to come up and be with us for about 2 weeks after the baby was born so that they could help out. They could let me heal properly, let us adjust to life with a newborn, and that could no longer happen. I couldn't have the giant get-together you usually see when newborns are born where family just comes in and visits the baby and cuddles it and gives the parents a little bit of a break. I couldn't have any of it. Because the hospital limited it to one support person. So, obviously, that support person was my husband. Obviously. And it was a lot of mental stress, and we just had to take it day by day. My husband was wonderful during that time and so incredibly supportive. It was hard to handle all of those emotions and prepare for a major surgery that is going to bring the child that had been growing in my tummy into this world. As the day drew closer, I came more to accept what was going to happen. I just spent the time that I could just trying to take it easy, trying to be in the best mental health that I could for my child. And I remember fondly the last night before baby, me and my husband just sat together and watched anime, held each other, and just stayed up way too late, probably. Here's the thing, if you know that you're gonna have a baby soon, or anybody like near you is gonna have a baby soon, or like scheduled date, tell them to sleep. I think we stayed up till like 2 a.m. and we needed to be at the hospital at 7:30 a.m. But yes, I remember that night very fondly, and I'm glad that we got to share that last moment before, baby, because babies change your entire lives. Now, with the pregnancy chapter closed, we are going to get into, obviously, birth. If you are uncomfortable with the following topics around my head, aka like anything to do with a hospital, please skip. I don't want to traumatize anybody with my story. I just want to share it. So, the morning of the birth, we traveled to the hospital. Had to check in and get to our room because the hospital was nice. The hospital had like a maternity ward, and like we had our own our room, the birthing room. If I was like going into labor a normal way, that's where I would be giving birth. But no, that was my recovering room for my C-section. So they started prepping me for the C-section, and I had only one question on my mind before I went in. Can my husband be there for the spinal? Obviously, he was allowed to be there for the actual surgery, but I needed him there for the spinal. And if you don't know what a spinal is, it's... Okay, so there's epidurals. Epidurals are given to people in process of giving birth. It numbs the pain a bit. Spinals are like that, but take it to 11. You don't feel pain. You feel, but you don't feel pain. And I'll get into more of that later. But it required needles and staying still. And I was already just a whirlwind of emotions that morning. And I was like, please, can my husband come with me? And they said no, because of sterilization issues. So I had to go in alone. They wheeled me into the OR while my husband waited to be brought in for the actual surgery. The nurses there said I did a really good job, but I think they were lying to my face. I was full on panic mode because I'd never been in an OR before. I never needed a surgery before like this. So, I was but the spinal happened, and I was laying there, and they were like, okay, so we're gonna wait for it to take effect, let us know how you feel during it, and it was the strangest sensation. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was the strangest sensation. Like, imagine how you feel when your leg falls asleep, right? It feels numb. And that was just climbing up my entire body. Like, I couldn't feel them touching my feet. Like, they would occasionally check my feet and pinch my feet to see if I could feel things or whatever. And they would pinch my feet and like, I feel the pinch, but I don't feel the pain. Like, honestly, I bet they could have just stabbed a scalpel in my foot and I wouldn't have felt the pain from the scalpel at that time as it was progressing. And it was just so bizarre. Like, imagine, try and think about that. Like, poke yourself in the face, like, hard. You could feel the pain that's associated with it. But if I did that with the spinal in, I just feel the sensation of me touching my face. I wouldn't feel the pain. It was bizarre. But eventually it was time for husband to come back in. And I just remember like crying and being like, I am so glad you're here. I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much for being in my life. You know, being all gushy and stuff because I was scared, okay? But the epidural, or I keep calling it epidural. The spinal was like, it took full effect. I didn't feel any pain. And they were like, all right, let's do this. We are gonna start the C-section. Husband was next to me. I was laying T-posing on the bed and they proceeded. Remember I said I would get back to the sensation. Yeah, I could feel things. I could feel that. I could feel things moving. I could feel things shifting positions. I felt everything except the pain. So like I could feel the scalpel cutting my skin, but none of the pain with it, which was really trippy. I am so glad that spinal like worked so well. The C-section, I would have just lost my mind if I didn't have that. But shortly after, it didn't take very long. Baby was out. Baby was born into the world. And they whisked baby away to clean, obviously, and just do like a check on the baby because like obviously the low amniotic fluid was a concern and like a baby was always small. So they needed to check. And I told husband, I was like, you are going to go take pictures of our baby right now. I don't need the support right now. Go look at our child. Because I was just so focused on our baby. Our product of our love was born. Obviously I'm still like in surgery because they gotta put you back together. They gotta make sure they do it right too, you know? They don't want to accidentally like leave your stomach and your uterus or anything. But yeah, that went through. That was a process. There's some things that happened I don't want to talk about, but I got put back together, and after a little bit, while they were still, sewing me together, I got to have baby's head rest on my shoulder. It was surreal. Is probably the best word I can put to it. Some mothers describe a feeling of instant love, instant connection. And I didn't have that. Be it from, going through surgery and the whirlwind of emotions that I was feeling. I knew I would do anything for my baby, obviously. Like, I would jump in front of a train for him, but I just never felt that instinctual, instant love. It had to grow over time. it had to grow over time. And so once everything was all done, they rested baby on me and we went to the recovery room. Surgery was done and I was going to be bedridden for a little while because, major surgery. That began the next couple of days. Honestly, those days were a blur. I didn't get very much sleep, but they had to. Baby was fine, honestly, and it was really weird because I think internally I was expecting the baby to go to the NICU, but they didn't, which was weird because they were less than 5 pounds when they were born. Less than 5 pounds. And usually a full-term baby is like 8 pounds. There was 3 pounds missing. But everything was good with baby. Baby had good lungs. Baby was able to eat, able to poop, able to cry like a baby do. And the next couple of days while I finished recovery, started recovery, did the main part of recovery at the hospital, or just us getting used to this new routine. For the first day or so, I can't remember anymore. I had to stay bedridden because of surgery, obviously. So whenever baby needed to be fed, every 3 hours, husband would need to get up, change baby's diaper, bring baby to me for feeding. Because I couldn't get up. And it was a time. It was very exhausting. There was a lot of uncomfortableness and pain because, I had a surgery scar and, I was on medication for that. But eventually I was said, hey, to recover, you need to start walking around now, getting out of bed. We're going to take your catheter out. Yeah, I had a catheter and I forgot to mention that. It was very weird. It was very weird. But, if you know anyone who is either recovering from birth or recovering from a C-section, tell them to listen to the nurses. Tell them to get up and walk. It is uncomfortable and painful as all heck, but it is so worth it. And I'll talk about in that in post natal, post birth. But yeah, I recovered and then we were told, hey, you are good to go home. Baby's healthy. You're recovering great from the C-section and you're good to go home. So we packed up all of our stuff and took our bundle of joy home. And now we get to talk about post-natal, the good, I'll call it 6 months after having a baby. So life was, we had to keep up the 3-hour feeding because that's what babies need. So neither of us was really getting full sleeps of night. Like, we were just perpetually exhausted. Baby was having a hard time feeding at home. And it was a whirlwind. Both of us just became zombies. And at the time, luckily, both of us were very fortunate with our work, where we could work at home and set our own hours. So after about a week of us trying to make the normal thing work out, we came to the decision that husband would stay with baby during the night and I'd stay with baby during the day because our baby refused to sleep unless they were being held. Cuddle bug. But so that was our life. We would see each other maybe like 4 hours a day. I don't recommend anyone to do that, please. It was hard for us emotionally, physically, and it was hard. It was hard. During that time, I came to realize that I had postpartum depression. Wow, I've been saying postnatal. It's postpartum. Can you tell I'm not using a script? I'm going off my memory here. But yeah, I had a postpartum depression. And a lot of mothers have that. And it was just really hard on me because at the time baby was born was time that I usually went through seasonal depression. So I had postpartum depression, seasonal depression on top of me with all of the hormones that my body was experiencing because it literally just gave birth to a baby. It was really hard. If you guys have seen my Azura summoning video, you know, the legendary Azura one, and how I was at the end of that, that was almost my everyday. Because I just had so much going on in my head. And I just wanted to be a good mom. I wanted to do everything I could to provide for our child. And I just felt like I wasn't good enough, you know? It was hard. Husband was there for as much as he could, obviously, but thankfully I have some amazing friends that were there for me during the days. And it was just... my entire life was feed baby, change baby, waddle baby, and hold baby. For a good little while, until, you know, we started introducing play and tummy time. God, tummy time. But, I'm not saying this for you guys to, like, feel pity for me or anything or whatnot. I want you guys to know that mothers need help after they give birth. So if you, like, not everyone is an expert, obviously. Even if you have multiple kids, like, it's still a process that you gotta go through, and it's so emotionally and physically taxing on mothers and fathers too, because fathers have to go through a lot as well, because they have to change their entire life, and they have to watch their partner go through all of this. And I'm saying this because I want to share my story, and I want you guys to have sympathy for new mothers, and offer help for new mothers, because they need it. Please, please do something nice for a mother you know in your life, okay? So, like, during all of that, I also had to deal with recovering from a C-section. Yay, C-section! But I said earlier in the actual birth portion, getting up and walking made my recovery go so quickly. Like, some moms that have C-sections, like, they're recovering for months. My gynecologist gave me the A-OK after 2 weeks because I was walking and I was doing as much as I physically could to take care of myself, which was very hard, but worth it, because I was able to be me while dealing with a baby. So, you know, listen to your doctors when they tell you to do something after after surgery, because it's gonna save your, like, tush from painful future. Oh, I'm so glad I healed quick. But so that was about 4 months of our life, was just that routine. It was hard. It was hard. It was very hard. But baby started becoming more mobile, and we decided at 4 months baby was going to be sleep trained. Some parents don't believe in sleep training. We do. We do very, very much, because that decision solely saved me and my husband's sanity. It was hard. Sleep training a baby is painful because you're so used to catering to the baby's needs whenever like they start crying, because like you learn really quickly like what their different cries mean. Like there's a hungry cry, there's a tired cry, there's a cry that they just don't want to be here. They just want to be laying down and playing. You know, you adapt to it, and it's this weird like connection you have because you just understand how they act. And it's the strangest thing. I keep saying that, but like seriously, Parenthood is a strange ride. But so you're used to catering to your baby's needs. You're used to going to them when they're crying, because yes, it's okay to spoil a baby. They're a baby. Spoil your babies in love, okay? And it just was hard for us to hear our baby crying because they weren't used to sleeping anywhere else except our arms, and like they took to sleep training really quick, and that was magical. Being able to just be a human again. It really felt like for the first 4 months I was just a robot. I was a robot, and I finally had freedom to be me, which was bizarre. I had freedom to spend time with my husband, and it was so nice. So I definitely recommend sleep training early because it's great. And you know, it was just so nice afterwards. Like the 2 months after that were great. I mean, there were small one. Our child had some medical problems, unfortunately, that required a lot of washing of clothes, a lot of vomit, a lot of vomit. Oh, but once they got on medication, it was so nice. They still had those accidents, but it was so much less. Both of us are kind of still traumatized whenever we hear a child burp. We think they're gonna just, whatever they eat is just gonna come back out, and we're like, oh dear, please no, please no. We went through that already. Please stop. You're a toddler. But yeah, those are about the first 6 months. I did seek help, obviously, for my postpartum depression. I got out of it. It was really, really hard. And I'm proud of myself for accomplishing that. I'm proud of my husband for accomplishing all of the insanity that we had to go through. And I am proud of my toddler now because they are, I think those trials, especially sleep training, oh my God, really shaped the foundation of my love for them. Because as I said in my birthing section, I didn't feel that instant love. My love for my little one had to grow because I just didn't know how I fit into the role of a parent. But during that time, I will say, family got to meet, you know, the little one. Both my husband's side and my side got to meet them, and it was a very nice experience. And I'm sad that, like, you know, we didn't have the help the first 2 weeks of their life because we were told to completely isolate, and we were like, okay. But yeah, and now that we've covered postpartum, let's just talk about being a mom. Because at 6 months is usually when, like, babies can start developing a personality, you know, and doing more things, and, like, you know, you're more active instead of raising a plant. Someone phrased it like this: at first you raise a plant, and then you raise a dog, and then you raise a mini human. They were finally coming out of the plant phase, so, you know, you got to experience them more. And they got to experience the world more. Like, we started feeding them solids, which was really fun. I made most of the solid food that they ate. which was, oh my god, it was way too much. Oh, it took so much time. But it was so fun trying, like, figuring out what the little one liked. The little one loved these little pacifiers that you could shove fruit in and they could suck on it. Like, oh, beautiful. They loved that so much. They loved just playing. They hated tummy time. And they discovered their favorite color for some reason. It was really weird. Like, ever since they've been about, like, 6 months old, they've had this attraction to yellow, and it's still here. I don't know how that happened. But it just became us being parents, figuring out how to balance our work, our lives outside of baby and baby time, and just settling into our new norm. Because, you know, parenthood, not just a temporary thing. You're a parent for a very long time afterwards. And, you know, it was a lot of just figuring it out. I've been doing a lot of research on, like, how to be a good parent, because I want to be a better parent than I had. And, you know, I want to improve upon what I can. And I think I did. I think I'm doing a pretty good job. You know, and we do our best. It takes a lot of mental effort to do the things that I do. Well, we do a style of parenting called gentle parenting, which honestly should just be called parenting. It's where you actually are treating your child as someone who has agency instead of a thing you control. So it requires a lot of patience, a lot of being able to communicate well. It requires a lot of emotional awareness. Like, I have discovered more about my emotions being mom than I have in the past, like, 26 years of my life. And I've learned so much more about myself, about how to be a good human, and just everything. I've discovered a love for cooking. Like, the thrill I get from making a good home meal for my husband and for my toddler, like, it's magical. I love seeing the things I'm trying to teach my toddler, the values I want to instill in my toddler, actually, like, take root and happen. I love seeing the toddler, like, explore and discover things that they love and make up their own things. Like, they are very good at making up words. And sometimes I'm just like, what are you saying? And just the experience of it all. But also, it's hard and it's not the most glamorous. It takes a lot out of a person to raise another, because you not only have to care, provide, and nurture a child, you also have to care, provide, and nurture for the child that's inside you. Because if you have a lot of things from your childhood you never, like, compressed and, like, unpacked, it's going to come up. It's going to come up. Like, I came from a family that used yelling as a parenting tool. And it's left a lot of scars on me, and I don't want to do that for my child. I don't want them to have those scars. I want them to be aware of their emotions. I want them to feel like it's okay to be sad, feel like it's okay to be angry, feel like it's okay to be, like, any sort of emotion, because I want them to know that everything about them is valid. Everything that they feel, everything that they do, I want them to feel our love. And there have been times, yes, there have been moments that things did not go the way I want them to. But it's a learning process. Every parent is learning how to be a parent while, you know, their baby is growing. There's no instruction handbook. There's no, like, little pamphlet that says, here's how you raise a child, this is what you do, X, 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 Y, 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 Z, 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 Z. There's no step-by-step guide. And it's just you trying to figure out what you want to instill in your child, like what values you believe in. And obviously they have their own personality too, so you have to handle that as well. Because like, say, like if you are trying to instill in them that, you know, you clean up after yourself, or you don't throw food, but they have the personality where they're just like, everything's a game, I like throwing my food because I like to giggle. You know, it can be a little frustrating. It feels like sometimes when you're a parent, you're hitting your head on the wall. And you never, at least for me, I can never turn off my parenting side anymore, because it is a part of me now. I am a mom. It is my life to raise this child with my husband, and even when they're sleeping, I can't turn it off. I have forever changed since becoming a mom, and I think a lot of people miss that sometimes, that they think, sure, obviously life is going to change because you have a baby, and but you yourself change completely after having it. I love my toddler to bits. I would change nothing about their existence. But there are days where I'm just like, what would my life be right now if I didn't have a toddler? Would we be where we are in life? In terms of work, in terms of our house, in terms of everything? And it's so hard to picture that time before a baby, before a toddler. And it's hard to picture life without them now. Sometimes it just feels like the title of mom comes first, and then the title of me comes second. So, you know, if you know a mom, either your actual mom, your stepmom, your adopted mom, your friend's mom, or any sort of relation to a mom, no matter what day it is, if it's Mother's Day, if it's just a normal Tuesday, go up to them, tell them that you are proud of what they're doing. You are proud, you understand their hardships, and you appreciate everything that they are learning to do, and or have learned to do, or raised if their child's an adult now. But I don't think moms get enough thanks. Sure, there's Mother's Day, obviously. I'm making this video for Mother's Day, but I don't think day to day moms get enough credit. So yeah, for me, please go and tell a mom that you know you love them and you appreciate everything that they do. Because it's hard. It's really, really hard. I think that's about everything I want to share. One thing. I'm sure people are being like, Pretty, you've been saying they, them, in regards to your toddler, not saying any specific names, not like identifying your toddler, what's up. You know, usually people talk about that stuff. And I am choosing not to, because I want my toddler to choose when they enter the internet world. So I will be referring to them as they, them, my child, toddler, not saying their name, not saying what biological sex they are, because I want them to have that choice. And I would like you to respect that, please. So don't really ask any personal questions about that. But you guys are welcome to, you know, say any parenting questions down below, because I would love to just talk more about, you know, being a parent and give advice. Here, I'll do a little recap. So my most important pieces of advice for you guys, if you ever become a parent or know somebody who's going to become a parent, is 1, before baby comes, make sure they get a lot of sleep and take dates. Yes. 2, when baby is born, help them out, seriously. Like, even just bringing like a home like, just even buying them fast food is like such a help. Because there's just 1,000,002 things going on at that very moment, and like sometimes they just need help. So please help me, parents. 3, or whatever number I'm on, respect their opinions. Respect how they choose to raise their child. Sure, you might not agree with it wholeheartedly. Like, honestly, some of you might not agree with me not wanting to yell at my child. But please, just respect it, because they have come to that decision with, time and effort. Another thing is just give acknowledgement to mothers and fathers. And, help them, praise them, say, I am so proud of you for doing this. I am so proud that you were able to get up in the morning, fight your mental battles, handle work, and handle a baby all at once, and finding time still to do silly YouTube stuff. Next thing is sleep train early. Sleep train early. Oh my God, sleep train early, because it is magical. Like my toddler sleeps through the night, and it's wonderful. Some parents still have their kids unable to sleep through the night, and I am so incredibly sorry that you have to go through that. That sounds awful. But yes, sleep train early. Also introduce foods early. All foods, especially allergens, common allergens, because that's if you introduce allergens earlier in their life, the less likely they are to develop an allergy to it. Very nice. Yeah. And I think my final piece of advice is treat your child as a human. Like, they have their own opinions, they have their own thoughts. Obviously, you're the parent, you're supposed to take care of stuff, but like, if you are saying no arbitrarily, take a moment and think, why am I saying no? Because like, sure, what if it's like, they want to watch another episode of their TV show, and you're like, no, we're not watching another episode. Why? Why can't they watch another episode? Are you worried about screen time? Because, actually, husband has been doing a lot of research on this recently. Screen time, like, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is the engagement. If you're talking about what is going on the screen, like if you see a dog on the TV and you're like, yeah, that is a dog. Do you know what some dogs make? Turn it into a teaching thing instead of a babysitter. Like, screen time's perfect for them. Obviously, like, parents, have their own decisions to make, but think about why you're saying no. Because you want them to flourish and be able to make their own decisions in the future. And if you just are constantly, like, pushing them down on the same path that they're supposed to be without making any mistakes, they're not gonna learn. They're just gonna be a caged little child forever. And you don't want that. But, yeah, that is my journey with, being a parent. Wow, I have been recording for a little while. But yeah, happy Mother's Day to any mother, also fathers, because fathers, you guys, I know you guys have Father's Day, but come on, fathers also need a lot more love than they get. And I hope you enjoyed learning about my experience as a mother. I am so happy and fortunate to be a mother. And I wouldn't change it for anything else in the world. And I'm excited to see how my toddler grows. I'm excited to see what they want to do in life, and I want to provide everything that I can for them. So happy. But yeah, as I said a while ago, please let me know, like, any parenting questions you have down below, or any other type of questions, because I'd love to answer them, honestly, because, I'm happy to be a parent. And with that all said, happy Mother's Day if you're watching this on the day of posting, and if you're not, still still do something nice for a mom in your life. And I will see you guys in a future video that is probably very different from this. So, thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. Keep fighting your battles, and I'll see you next time. Toodaloo!